I'm reading two excerpts from a piece called Punta del Este. Punta is a place that my family has gone to for many years, every winter vacation, and it's in Uruguay. It's kind of like a beach resort. Okay. These songs sound so silly now that I know the words, my mother tells me, as Zodiac blares out of the back speakers as we turn on Avenida Roosevelt, heading back. We reach the hotel and pass it. We're headed for the highway. It's where we always go in the evening, when she wants to listen to music and reminisce. It makes her happy. Usually, we'll listen to the music that was popular when she was 12, because it reminds her of her father who took her to matinee disco parties before he died. Sometimes, though, we'll listen to Sinatra or European house music, or even just whatever's on the radio. When she's in an especially good mood, she'll ask me to sing, but I never do, even though by now I know the words better than she does. She never spends too much time trying to get me to sing, and after I tell her that I don't know the words, she looks back towards the road and raises her arm and dances as much as she can while driving. She waves her arms back and forth as if to signal to someone that she's there and alive. My dad doesn't like it when she drives with her music on. He says it's too loud and too repetitive. He went to a music conservatory, so he can't listen to anything without criticizing its choice of chords or lack of certain instruments, unless it's classical or jazz. She lowers the music a little for courtesy, but she never turns it off. She is the one driving. He never drives. My mother was a racer once in Brazil. She took second place in a competition when she was young. When my parents first met and my dad showed her the sports car he had saved up for years to buy, my mother showed him a stick shift trick she had learned in racing school. He was impressed. When I was 9 in Punta, my mother decided that it was time for me to learn how to drive. She smuggled towels and pillows out of the hotel so that I could reach the pedals, and we drove around the block 3 or 4 times before she decided that I was too cautious of a driver. Since then, she's taken me driving only once a year. Even though she thinks I'm a terrible driver, she's convinced that I'm going to follow her footsteps and take racing lessons in Brazil once I actually get around to learning how to drive. The thought of me racing makes her excited, and while I doubt it'll ever happen, I can never know for sure, for how could I have known that I'd get to drive my very first year there, days before my 10th birthday. Now I'm going to read my second excerpt. My first year in Punta, all I could do was watch the tides rise in and out, pulling little shells and clams under the current, bringing lost ones back home to shore. This is beauty, I thought to myself, and really, I was right. It was. I was 9, and finally I was going to get to live the stories my cousins Mariel and Gloria always told me about. I was going to meet Lorenzo, the bird that returned to us year after year, and Pinky, their dog. I would go horseback riding through the forest and the beach at night with Joaquin and Malena, our friends from Argentina. Finally, I'd get to see Tio Edgar set off fireworks on New Year's Eve. It never occurred to me that one day I would hate it. I never thought that Lorenzo would ever stop coming back or that Pinky would get run over. It never occurred to me that Malena's horse would step on her head and crack it, or that a law would be passed that would make riding on the beach as illegal as selling drugs. And most of all, I don't think anyone imagined the day that Tio Edgar's fireworks would burn the great cypress tree in my cousin's grandmother's backyard to a cold, charred crisp. Even though all that happened, though, Punta is still a magical place. It's where my family has vacationed for generations, and where anything can happen. The best part of it all, though, is that Punta is a place where nothing is forgotten. Youth, past loves, and gossip and Spanish code have all embedded themselves into the place from which they grow, and will remain alive forever, waiting for us to discover them as we continue coming back. Next to one beach we go to in the afternoons, there is a cave where there once was a disco. One night, the waves came too far in, and it closed soon after. My brother and I like to explore the ruins sometimes. If you go in far enough, you can still see a broken disco ball covered in seaweed that hangs from the ceiling, exit signs the dancers used to find the escape routes the night the tide rose, and strobe lights that no longer work. Being there is like being in Punta. Being there is like being in all of Punta at once. There's the old and the new and the timeless, all mixed together like in a kaleidoscope, constantly changing at every angle. No matter how you see it, though, you will always feel that Punta is a place where things once happened, even if it all fell in decadence.